Unfortunately, too many realtors purchase real estate leads before they're ready to actually do that. But that's not to say that there's never a time to purchase leads. Paid leads are tough, like really tough. They are expensive. They take a long time to convert, and they require a lot of patience, upfront capital. And unfortunately, too many people will be purchasing leads when they're desperate for business, which is just about the worst time that you can possibly start purchasing online leads. Really, you're ready to buy leads when you've maxed out organic strategies and you're ready to start building your team or scaling your business. Usually when people ask this, what they really need is organic strategies that are more suited to them. Now, as Mr. Ollivander in Harry Potter says, the wand chooses the wizard. I believe the same is true when it comes to lead gen. There are so many strategies. They all work for someone. The only question is, which strategy is right for you? In this video, I'll be going over the 5 most leverageable organic lead gen strategies to execute before you start purchasing leads. The first strategy is one of my favorites, if not my absolute favorite, and that is to partner with assisted living communities. Essentially, here's the process. You call up assisted living communities in your area. You say, hello, John, my name is Oliver. I'm a local realtor. I work with a lot of senior citizens and I help them transition into the later stages of their life. And I'm always looking for good local places that I could refer my clients to as they make their transition into assisted living communities or independent living communities like your own. I was wondering if I'd be able to get a tour of your facility to get a feel for the area, the services you provide, what you guys are about. Do you have any time a little bit later this week? So you get your appointment, then you go on your tour with brochures in your briefcase, whatever. Bring brochures, pay attention when they're giving you the tour, ask questions, show interest. And then at the end, you say, thank you so much. This is really a beautiful community, beautiful area. So I printed off some information about myself and my services for you to hand out if anyone needs to sell their home before relocating to this beautiful community. Obviously, I'll make a point to keep your location front and center for anybody that you send my way, and just to make sure that we're sending as many people to your community as possible. Then you give them your brochures to display, to hand out, and you visit your new partners, let's say every couple of weeks, every 2-3 weeks, just to check in, see how they're doing. Now, something to consider, by doing this strategy is actually starting the relationship off from a position of authority with the person that you're talking to, because they're now trying to sell themselves to you. And what's really important to note is that it costs a lot of money to actually get into these communities, right? So a lot of new residents will have to sell their homes anyway before they have access to the capital required to live in these places. So if you can start building a network of communities, visiting these communities or the marketing directors of these communities every month, then you can start having 10, 20, 30 communities consistently sending you listings of senior citizens that are looking to transition into these communities. The second strategy is one that people don't really like to actually execute, even though we know it works. It's called cold calling. So I take a lot of my targeted prospecting strategies from Brandon Moran, and if you haven't yet checked him out, definitely you should be doing that. So he has a revolutionary selling technique called reverse selling. I personally absolutely love it. And the script that we're going to be following is a cold calling script for sale by owners, for FSBOs. So we follow a 4-call process, the first of which is, again, from Brandon Moran. And the last 3, however, or the entire 4-call process together, is an iteration that we created here at Inabox. These are proven to work, right? So something that you'll notice is that each of these 4 calls that I'm going to walk you through should only take about 60 to 90 seconds. That is, unless the person that you're calling invites you to continue speaking with him or her, in which case, obviously, you should definitely take them up on that offer. So here is the process. The first call is designed to get you an email address. That's really it, or primarily, I'll say, to get you an email address, as well as a simple conversation starter. So it goes, hey, John. Hey, this is Oliver. I'm a local realtor. I'm not sure if now is the right time, but I was calling about a property for sale at 123 Main Street. Do you still own that property by any chance? This is probably the most resistance you'll get, is they say, I'm not interested in selling with a realtor. Thank you. And they'll try to hang up. You go, no, for sure, I got it. I'm just trying to see actually if you might consider selling it to one of my buyers if you got the right price and it made sense to you. Okay, yeah, perfect. So what I'd be willing to do for you, and I really don't mind, is to run a quick value report on your home, see how much I think the property will go for, and then I'll email you what I find out, and then we can determine whether or not we can make something happen or if it makes sense to sell. Is that fair? At this point in time, they may say, I don't need your CMA, I already have a price. So you say, yeah, I understand 100%. I represent my buyer, so I have to create a CMA for them. And in the name of professional transparency, I would want to send that over to you as well, just so that we're all in kind of on the same page. So what's the best email for you typically that I could send the CMA to? Okay, great. So if you got a good price, you'd consider letting go of it. Like, what are your plans long term? They may say something like, I want to go and live closer to my kids in Connecticut. That's going to come in later. So you go, okay, fine. So let me do a little bit of homework this morning. I'll circle back either this afternoon, maybe tomorrow morning, and I'll give you my thoughts and we'll go from there. Does that sound good? Great. Talk soon. Fantastic. Then what you do is you send a CMA to this prospect and you call them back, let's say the next day. Again, like I mentioned, maybe the next morning, that afternoon. Now, even if you don't have a buyer, again, you can still use this script as a way to start the conversation and get your foot in the door. And then once you're there, present different ways that the seller might be able to sell their home to get more money for their home than they previously thought possible. And now let's get into the second call. This call is made after the CMA has been sent to the FSBO lead. And the purpose of this call is to gauge their response to your CMA and to touch base with them. So it goes, hey, John, hey, this is Oliver again. I just sent over a CMA to your email a little bit earlier today. I just want to make sure you received it. You did. Okay, what did you think? Okay, it's a bit lower than you were looking to sell for. Yeah, no, that's fine. Obviously, honestly, at the end of the day, my CMA is just a research and educated guess, but ultimately, the only thing that can truly determine the value of your home is the market. So I'm not going to suggest that you make any changes to the price of your home. For now, what I'll do is I'll show your property to my buyers. Obviously, I'll show them the same CMA that I sent to you, but I will also let them know that we had this conversation and that you're quite firm on your price. Does that sound? And then we can see if we can make something good. Does that sound good? The third call now, after you've done that, is to show them that you spoke to your buyers and that there's a bit of a disconnect between their asking price and what the home is actually worth, right? You're just basically planting a seed. That's the idea. You're just planting a seed, making them consider that maybe it is overpriced without basically telling them straight out. So you say, hey, John, this is Oliver again. So I spoke with some of my buyers, and unfortunately at this time, it's a little bit higher than they were hoping to spend, but don't be discouraged. I will continue showing your property to more of my buyers. And I'll obviously let them know that we had this conversation, that you're firm on your price, and we'll see if we can make something happen. Does that sound good? Perfect. Now, the fourth and final call is really where the magic's going to happen, hopefully. This call is to invite them to ask about how you can help them list their home and get more money for their home, sell it quicker, whatever it is that they actually want. This call is to get them to invite them, as it were, to ask basically how you would help them accomplish their goals. So here's how you make that happen. Hey, John, this is Oliver again. So I spoke with some more of my buyers, and I'm kind of getting the same basic feedback across the board that it's a little bit out of what they were hoping to spend at the moment. I'm just curious, like, what sort of feedback have you been receiving from the rest of the market? Now, if they say, to be honest, it's been quite consistent. A lot of people have been saying that it's overpriced, but I don't want to lower the price of my home. I don't want to take it off the market, whatever. You go, okay, fine. Yeah, I thought so. So I just wanted to reach out as a professional courtesy to let you know that if you were receiving that kind of feedback, which it sounds like you are, and you were thinking about lowering the price, just before you do that, I don't want you to have to compromise on living close to your kids. So before you, for example, take your house off the market, which will then obviously throw a wrench in those plans, just give me a call, because there are still ways you could sell your home for more money so that you won't have to take it off the market, so that you can be living closer to your kids as quickly as possible, because that's really what this is about. What you're looking for is for them to say, well, what are some of those ways? Like what? Then you say, it's hard for me to spell out those options over the phone because I'd really have to get a better feel for what you're looking for, provide some solutions that are right for you. The best option really would be for me to come over to your place, see the actual property, and walk you through some of your options if you're open to it. I have some time a little bit later this week. I'd be happy to come over. Does that work for you? Now, you may get some objections at this point in time. That's fine. You can handle those objections, but you've now got rapport with this individual. So this strategy, yes, it's still cold calling, but as you can see, even if you really dislike cold calling, which I personally do, the short nature of each call is really designed to make it as accessible as possible to even the most phone-fearing person. It's also very collaborative. There's not a lot of resistance with this one as well. The third strategy is really simple and basically guaranteed to work as long as you just continue to do a good job, which is to manage overflow buyers from more successful agents. Now, the reason that this strategy is fantastic is because in a tough market like the one that we find ourselves in, the busy agents are just getting busier. So they have less time to work with buyers, and they want to work with more listings as well. So they want to leverage their time better. So if an agent has a team, for example, obviously they'll just send those overflow leads to that team, which is why we said a solo agent, because what are they supposed to do? They either have to give those leads away for 25% referral fee, or basically keep themselves, find a way to run themselves into the ground to provide services to their buyers so that they don't leave money on the table. But now you provide them with a third option. You'll offer to take their overflow buyers and do all of the work for a 50% cut of their commission. And that way, the solo agent doesn't have to leave money on the table. He gets 50% instead of 25%. He doesn't have to worry about the overhead or the headache of having to build a team, manage a team, coach a team, buy CRMs for everybody. He can just start handing them off to you. Now, again, this strategy works as long as there are successful solo agents in your area, which there are, and that you consistently do a great job and keep every interested party in the loop. As long as you can do that, this strategy will work. The fourth strategy is a first-time homebuyer webinar. Now, the reason I love this one is because you could run ads to promote a first-time homebuyer webinar without actually having to pay anything towards it. What do I mean by that? So there's no debate as to whether or not webinars work in sales. They obviously do. So why aren't more realtors or lenders running webinars? Simply put, they just don't know how to. But what if you approached a lender and you said, here's an opportunity. I'm running a first-time homebuyer webinar. I want you to be a part of this. I want you to be involved. Here are the ads I'll be running. Here are the campaigns I'll be launching. Here are the slides I'll be sharing. If you would like to be the exclusive lender on this project that's already happening, it's only going to cost you $500 to cover ad spend. That's it. All you got to do, Mr. Lender, is show up on the day, give me $500 to cover the promotion, and that's a great deal for them. Now, you're going to be building your database absolutely free. And yes, it requires some front-end work as a caveat, just to figure out which slides you're going to be using, the campaigns, the ads. But the great thing is that once you've figured these things out once, it's done forever. And then you can either run first-time homebuyer webinars once a month with the same lender, or you can go to 3 or 4 different lenders with the same deal and basically just repeat the process and continue to build your database each time on somebody else's dollar. And just to be clear, you're not taking advantage of anyone. Like, this is a great deal for them. They want to be doing this because they want to run webinars. They just don't know how to. And people purchase webinars for thousands of dollars just so that they don't have to worry about it, how to build it. And then they'll also pay hundreds of dollars per month to promote it. You're going to take away that first step and say, I'll do it. You just got to promote it. You'll be the exclusive person. So you're going to solve that problem for them. Now, the fifth and final strategy is a first-time homebuyer seminar, which is obviously very similar to a webinar, the main difference being that it's in person as opposed to online. So there are multiple ways of actually doing this. One way, for example, is to rent out a restaurant where you'll pay, let's say, $15 a head, invite approximately 30 qualified people, give them a free lunch, and then your lender will cover that cost just like they would in a webinar strategy. Same basic idea. Another option is to partner with school districts and say, I want to offer a free seminar to your teachers where I'll show them the step-by-step process of purchasing a home. All you have to do, school district, is promote this seminar in your newsletters, whatever it is that you use to keep your people updated. Now, the school district gets a free service out of this because there's a lot of turnover when it comes to teachers because teachers are moving in and out. And so they want their teachers to be able to buy homes, and they also want to offer that service to their teachers. So they're providing that service to their teachers, that lesson, that seminar. You're obviously getting free promotion out of this. You're getting in front of as many people as possible. And the other great thing about this strategy is that teaching school districts and teaching teachers is just the start. But after you've done that, you can then branch off and start running seminars for firefighters, police stations, nurses, all different kinds of industries. Talk about homes for heroes on these seminars. And as long as you're in front of the right audience to promote your service or services, you're getting like amazing exposure. It's not going to cost you a dime to make that happen. And it's just a super leverageable, super scalable strategy. Now, once you've leveraged, and now let's bring it all home. Once you've leveraged, let's say 2 to 3 of these organic strategies, and you start generating a consistent pipeline of leads, then you can start looking into paid sources. Something to consider, with these strategies, you shouldn't have any problem generating leads, but you might have a hard time with consistency. What do I mean by that? Now, none of these strategies work for one day, but they all work over time. If you maintain these strategies consistently, you start making as much money and generating as many leads as you can within a 24-hour period using these strategies, and you start to see some success with this, then you can start thinking about paid strategies. But until you actually manage to properly leverage organic strategies, you should hold off on leveraging paid strategies, paid channels, because you might not be ready for them yet. So if you're feeling like you're quote unquote desperate for business, now is not the time to start investing in paid strategies. Now is the time to really dial in your organic processes.